welcome back to I Remember That podcast, where we dissect memories from the nostalgic era of things that we remember. I don't know. Anyway, happy new year. Happy 2025. May it be prosperous and you live long and you watch a lot of Star Trek. We're going to take this episode to kind of recap 2024. It was a weird year that was maybe cool for some people. We're going to break it down. We're going to break down the trends of what we remember, movies, basically to kind of come up with who or what are we going to remember from 2024 that maybe we will show our kids and they'll cringe, or and even like what things from the past kind of made a resurgence. Did that one hit wonder from the 90s come back on TikTok? Things like that. So as always, I would love to say, hey, my name is Kris, and Ian, say hey.
Hey.
Whoa, there it is. So we are officially started. So 2024, what do you remember from it?
Well, I actually just now remembered this. I wanted to start off with a slight personal story that was nostalgic that happened to me this year. It was, so you and I, we used to work together at Outback, right? Years ago.
Yes.
And we used to work with a young man named Manny. Love Manny, great guy. I've been working at this place called Centos. And one day I'm working just 6 months ago. Manny comes walking through with the manager because he's just got hired and he's getting the tour. And I see this guy. I haven't seen Manny in like 12 years. And I was so excited. I screamed. I was like, Manny! I was so excited to see him. And we talked for a minute. And then a couple days later, we're talking and he goes, Ian, I barely recognize you. I was like, really? I mean, okay, that's cool. And he goes, but he said, yeah, you used to be so skinny. I was like, what the hell does that mean? And I was like getting all mad. And he goes, no, you look like all muscular. And I was like, oh shit. Okay.
There you go. Yeah, he turned it around.
Yeah.
You had me in the first half.
Yeah, saved his life. But
well, in some cultures, it's considered nice that you're wealthy because you're so big. So maybe he was being very nice.
I don't know, but it was a cool nostalgic moment to just see Manny, especially because out of nowhere you see a guy you haven't seen in a long time, and it was very cool to see him. And that was this past year, so that was just a cool little personal, nostalgia moment.
Yeah, no, I love that guy. I have him on Facebook, but I don't think I've talked to him since Outback, like probably last shift.
Mm-hmm. Super good dude.
Yeah. There's a guy I worked at Outback in Murfreesboro for like probably 10 years as well. And there's this guy that I always run into, and I just so randomly see him, and I would just, in a crowded mall, how do you run into somebody more than one time? This has happened like 4 or 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always like, hey, how you doing? And it's like I don't even remember the guy's name, but I keep running into him. But I'm sure he's doing well, and I definitely remember him, his face.
I love that.
2024, I did find myself eating Outback more in 2024, so it does tie together.
Well, there you go. There was kind of a thing where probably once a year, my wife and I would go eat at Outback, or maybe Mike and I would get together, go eat at Outback.
Oh,
but
that's
this is
cool.
Probably the first year I haven't gone to Outback in a while. And you know what? The reason I don't go back is they changed the mac and cheese recipe, and that's
again. Oh, the steakhouse. You don't like the breadcrumb topping,
dude? It's just there's something so again nostalgic, something that just hits so hard about. And all it was the penne noodles with Velveeta cheese block and heavy cream, dude. It's the most delicious thing on the planet, and we just kept going back and visiting. And then one year I go there and get my mac and cheese, and it's the freaking spirally noodles with the breadcrumbs. I'm like, you take this back. I want to talk to the chef. Okay, this is not right. And they just that's it now, and that's the way they make it. And I personally don't agree.
Yeah. To me, it was because they kind of went corporate and then kind of lost their identity there. But also to me, when I go to an Outback and they're playing like Blues Traveler, that's that's like a nostalgic comfort to me. And like standing at the host stand, and there's just like that certain smell. I don't know, maybe it's cleaning products plus the food.
Yeah.
And then yeah, you see the bar and there's the tables. And I worked there for so long and I had so many good memories. So it's like sometimes I'll just go just to feel that. For a long time I didn't go because we used to get half off everything.
Hmm.
So like paying full price is kind of yeah, it's kind of rough.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'll do it.
Yeah.
Anyway, Outback, I don't know why. It's nostalgic to us because we used to work there, but that's not fair to anybody that didn't work there. So
Well, but I will say I'm kind of glad you brought up because we could also transition into the music that has resurged this last year. But I will say I
Yeah.
have a very similar feeling, nostalgic feeling when I hear Blues Traveler too. I hear it and I'm like I think of Outback, and
Yeah, or that song, they made up their minds and they started walking wherever they're going without ever knowing the way. That song, when it hits into that chorus and you're like slicing into a steak, it's like, oh man,
yeah.
I'm at home.
Dude,
This is home.
what about that Walking on Broken Glass song? You remember that?
Uh,
Walking on broken glass.
no,
No? Oh, I'm embarrassed. You're gonna have to
no.
cut that out now because that was
Okay.
yeah. But no, that was something that's one of the few songs I always think of when I think of Outback because it's just kind of like we talk about the Christmas. If you work in a corporate or retail or anything like that, you'll hear the same music over and over
Oh
again.
yeah, yeah, exactly. That little Outback Radio playlist,
Hmm.
exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, so you had mentioned, like you said earlier, songs that resurged, went viral again
Mhm.
based on TikTok or for whatever reason. What was one that stood out to you?
So to me, there's a few. Okay. So earlier this year, I took pictures of Alien Ant Farm that had played, and apparently one of their songs had gone, you know, viral, and I was like, that's pretty interesting, kind of lucky. And then another, started digging, and it was like a lot of these emo bands because of these karaoke emo shows
Oh
are
yeah.
like, there's money on the table. We could, why not get back together and do an anniversary tour? So that kind of sparked it. But as far as like video going viral, Edwin McCain, I saw him, and then he had some like funny TikTok videos. The uh Gangnam Style.
Yeah.
I can't think of his name.
Oh
I love him. PSY.
yeah, yeah.
Psy.
Sorry.
I saw a lot of his stuff going, through videos.
Hmm.
But it's an interesting time because okay, I'll make it a little bit of a long story. In the olden days when records broke, you'd go to the record store and you'd try out new music. Things physically wore out, so you would go and maybe you would replace it, but you would get something new. Well, now artists are on Spotify, and the Beatles can just be like, "Hey, we're re-releasing this 50-year anniversary." So now in the charts, you're competing with that as a small band. So music doesn't really die out.
Hmm.
It may in a trend sense, but like I see that becoming a thing with TikTok videos and going viral. If the Cisco thong song goes viral, well, he's gonna get more recognition. He can go back on the road. It's kind of like a golden ticket just because this app somebody made a funny cooking video with that song, and then everybody's like, I gotta make my own funny cooking video.
Yeah.
And I think that's cool. I It's good for artists to get kind of a second chance. If you're old and your song goes viral and you're kind of a jerk about it, well, it's like you don't deserve it. But if you're like, for example, Creed,
Hmm.
they made more money this year than any time. As I saw an article headline today about that, and it's like, think about it. 10 years ago, well, no, okay, we'll say 5 years ago, Creed got drugged through the mud hard,
Hmm.
so much. Everybody ripped on him. It was kind of like Nickelback.
Yeah.
And instead of getting mad or I mean, maybe they did. It
Hmm.
was probably annoying. It was a long time. They played into it, and then they were like, wait a minute, our music is taking off because of this. So, like, when I saw them at this merch table, they had the Scott Stapp Cowboys jerseys. And it was because of those memes and the funny viral videos. And it's like, oh man, they're playing into this so well. And it's just like, because people remember. And then the new kids get a new, different meaning because of it.
Hmm.
And yeah, that's pretty cool. Just stuff I think about.
You know, that kind of reminds me of I always I don't know, I'm a big comparison guy. I think of like I see this, I'm like, oh, this reminds me of this. This makes me think of that. So with Creed, what it makes you think of is because what you mentioned, they got drugged through the mud for a while, and now all of a sudden everyone pretends like, oh, I never said anything bad about Creed. I've always loved Creed. They're my favorite band. But there was
Yeah, yeah.
it was like that. So I've been hearing a lot recently is this weird about the Star Wars prequels, where when the
Mhm.
Star Wars prequels came out, the first three movies they came out, and then the following like decade, everyone ragged on them so hard.
Mhm.
Terrible, terrible movies, the worst thing ever. Terrible dialogue, terrible action. And then the sequels come out. The latest ones with Ray and all them come out, and they hated those. And now everyone's like, "Oh yeah, no, dude, I always love the prequels."
Yeah, with the Hayden Christensen revival and
Yeah.
Obi-Wan. I agree. I saw the same thing. I was always a fan of it because my dad took me to all three of the
Mhm.
prequels. So I was like, they're not bad. They're it's nostalgic and good, and I still watch them and I like it. But yeah, I remember, man, especially the Jar Jar Binks hate.
Yeah, yeah, it's bad.
It's unwarranted,
Mhm.
but I totally get it because Star Wars it's so expansive that people can be as picky as they want, really.
Mhm.
So no worries. But I enjoy anything that comes out that in the Star Wars world because it's a chance to go back and they're always going to put that touch on it.
Mhm.
So I enjoy it all. But yeah, I remember it is funny you say that they kind of turned that off and they were like, "Wait a minute, it is good. I saw this as a kid." And
Yeah,
and it's like,
that's
I remember you talking bad."
oh yeah, they did. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like nowadays with the internet, like maybe we couldn't catch what you said 10 years ago, but like if you what you say now, it's there. Like it's imprinted on the internet. You're not gonna be able to lie anymore.
That's true. There's like forums from 2003, like I don't know, whenever the iPhone came out, and they were
Mhm.
just like speculating, and you can even like look at movies where they're speculating and talking in forums and stuff, and it's so funny. It's kind of like a museum artifact in a way
Yeah,
because it's 20-25 years.
right. Another thing that reminds me of musically is My Chemical Romance because, like you said, the emo night stuff is big resurgence. But I think those of us who were emo in high school and really big My Chemical Romance fans, they were popular, and I don't know that I was ever really being ragged on for liking them, but I think it was kind of like maybe less alternative kids hid that they liked emo bands, maybe to a
Mm.
degree, like at least the ones that were wearing eyeliner and stuff, and so nowadays everyone's like, oh hell yeah, My Chemical Romance is back, that's sick, that they don't
It's
care anymore,
safe.
they're not
It's
hiding
safe.
nothing. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I saw something, I was driving through and I saw a McDonald's sign saying the McRib is back, and the first thing I thought of was, honestly, My Chemical Romance doing two reunion tours, they're just the McRib now.
Yeah, or
Well,
like they're the Motley Crue or Kiss, where they're like, "We're retiring, see
yeah.
ya," and then "Hey, we're back,"
Yeah, and it works for them popularity wise because their music, it dips, or it probably doesn't dip like hard because they're
They have
a
hits. Yeah,
consistently popular band, but at the same time, like if every 3 years they say, hey, we're done forever, and then they come back,
yeah,
then the
just to sell more shirts or
yeah,
something.
right, they go big again, they play 20 stadium shows, and then but hey, check this out though, My Chemical Romance is back. MCRIB, McRib.
Oh, I see.
Dude,
It's so deep. It's the Matrix. We're never getting out.
it's true. It's very true.
You know, part of me, like the young kid in me, is like, "Oh, they're selling out," but the older gentleman in me is saying, "Go out there and get some cash."
Yeah.
That's how you make your money. Go whatever.
Hmm.
Yeah. We're leaving tomorrow. We're gonna jump out of an airplane. Do it every weekend, like whatever.
Yeah.
So it's cool because a lot of this, when we were 16, it was kind of hard to see these bands in Nashville when we are in Knoxville or wherever you are. So as an adult, when you're a dentist, you can afford the way higher bump in price of tickets, but now you're old enough to go see this band that you love. So it is cool. It's kind of like a second chance.
Hmm.
And then for people that had saw them at that age, they get to go to the show and be like, "Oh, I saw them when that was cool,"
Yeah.
So we've all been there.
Yeah. Speaking of like My Chemical Romance and like going at different ages, is like I saw My Chemical Romance and Blink 182 in Atlanta when I was like 20, and we got pit tickets, right? Like we were in there,
Mhm.
we brought a sign, and but then the last time I saw them in their last tour, my wife and I we were sitting in the freaking it was in the arena, and we're in Nashville, and we're just sitting in our seats watching My Chemical Romance, like my knees hurt.
Yeah,
Like I'm not trying
dude.
to be in the pit, dude. Not now.
Dude, no. So I was for Casey Strain just because it was the whole venue was the pit.
Hmm.
But yeah, man. And if there's a venue, when you're young, oh, this venue has seats. Boo! I don't want to go. And
Yeah.
now it's like, bro, they got seats.
Thank God.
I like at Summer Slaughter this year. It was at a venue that was like a bigger Valerium,
Mhm.
and as soon as I walked in, I was like, "Where's the chair?" I was like, my stamina is so low now.
I just feel like not everyone can relate to this because although we do somewhat regularly talk about metal and shows like that, um, not everyone can relate. But one thing that even though people did used to kind of talk down on those venues with chairs, it's like, oh, you're at a metal show, you should be standing, moshing, whatever. How many times did those same type of people try to get in with a band so they could sit at the merch table? Like,
That's true. That was a good trend. That I think that was like the ultimate way to network. You know,
yeah.
like you'd be like, "Oh, I'm at the merch table. I'm cool." I totally chickened out, but I did that for Gideon. I sat at Gideon's table at the DAV. And
Mhm.
then when I saw him at Summer Slaughter, I was like, I probably look like a crazy person. I bought a shirt, walked away, and then the vocalist and I think the guitar player were standing at the merch table talking to people. They were nice. I was just standing there like 10 feet away, just staring. And I was like, they don't remember this. This was 25 years or 20 years ago. They're not going to remember. And they looked at me a couple times, and I was just like, I froze, and I never freeze, dude. I can talk to anyone. I'm usually never like that, but I was just like, I don't know, it was weird,
Yeah.
but I wanted to ask if they remembered that DAV show, um, because it was special.
I'd like to think they did.
I know, I really do too. This year, I went to a lot of shows. Did you go to any shows? I know it's a lot harder.
So I I didn't go to any local shows. I don't remember if it was this year or last year, but I went to see The Guild, which shout out if anybody's listening who's
Oh
not heard
yeah,
of
we
them.
talked about that. Okay.
Yeah, I did see The Guild, and I did try to mosh, and it did not go to the same as when I
Yikes.
was 20.
It hurts.
But you just have to, because in this one song they have, you got to mosh.
Yeah.
It's Father of the Abyss, dude. There's two breakdowns. Like you have to, at least during one of them. But I did go with my father-in-law to see, which is very nostalgic probably for a lot more people, is I went to see Rick Springfield.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, Rick Springfield, and he actually
Was that like at a fair or was it at a venue?
oh, it was at like Thompson Bowling Arena, like
Okay.
a big thing, and we had seats, and he originally bought the tickets for my mother-in-law, but she didn't want to go that day, or she was sick. I don't remember, but
Nice.
he was like, he asked my wife like, hey, do you want to go? And it was actually Rick Springfield and REO Speedwagon.
Cool. Okay.
And
Classics.
and she was like, I don't. She's grew up classic rock, but she grew up the more like Beatles, Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelin classic rock. I grew up much more of the REO Speedwagon, Van Halen, Journey.
Hmm.
So when she said that, I was like, I'll go. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
So I did, and we actually left before REO Speedwagon, unfortunately, because my back hurts, which sucks. But But Rick Springfield was very interesting to watch. I mean, because dude's like 70 years old and
Oh
he's
man.
still ladies' man, dude. He's just winking at all these women. And that's the thing. It's like all the closer seats, the floor seats. Oh my God, these 40, 50, 60-year-old women. That's dude. That was their high school crush, and that's why they were there. And I
And
love
they
that.
never lost the feeling for it either.
Yeah, and that's
Some people I
awesome.
meet, I'm like, man, it is cool. It really is.
Yeah,
There's a band out there for or a musician out there for everyone probably like that.
yeah. And I do you have okay? Do you have a
Oh
okay?
no.
Have you ever had a crush? Have you ever had a crush on some female singer that lasted for a
Uh,
while? Just someone that's like, oh man, she's just the one. Like the looks, of course, but like the band, just everything.
I don't think so. I don't know.
No,
I don't I don't know. I'm on the spot now. Everyone's gonna be mad at me.
hey, it's okay. Not because I don't even know that I really have one. There was a point where I was really into Katy Perry. Like I thought Katy Perry was the most beautiful woman on the world on the planet. But her music's whatever to me. But I've just come to find she just seems really annoying as a person. So that feeling faded a lot. It is
Yeah.
what it is. People still like Katy Perry. Well,
She tried
actually,
to come back this year actually, and
yeah.
didn't seem like it was going too well.
No, it did not at all.
I didn't hear this song, so I can't really judge it. But I she kind of, as far as production value, had always been a little bit ahead of the game. So I always appreciated it and the hit making value. But yeah, I'm not really. I don't know. It was cool. She kind
Yeah,
of latched on to Warped Tour kids and then was like, "Thank you, see ya,"
yeah,
and like did America's Got Talent and stuff. But
right.
again, hey, that's the industry you pick. Rock it out. You know, you do what you got to do.
I think too, though, with the music that she tried to come back with, it was. I listened to one of the songs and I didn't care for it. I mean, not to
Yeah, I
say like,
didn't
oh,
either.
this is so bad that it deserves to bomb, but it was just like whatever.
Hmm.
But it also felt very, what's the word? Like she was trying very hard to click with certain because the one song she was trying really hard to push, I think it was called "Women Are the World" or something like that. And so part of me was like, okay, not only are you trying to come back with like, oh, just your music, you think that, okay, by saying like, oh, here's a feminist thing, it's a very women positive message, therefore we can really bring people, it felt like a political thing almost, and it backfired. You know what I mean?
Ooh, yeah, I did read about it. So
Mm-hmm.
that makes a lot of sense.
It's very
Yeah, it's
Hillary
kind of
Clinton esque.
lazy. Exactly. That is a beautiful way to put it. And not to drag her or anything. It's just like kind of heavy, not heavy-handed, but it's just like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
did you just look this video up on YouTube and then write it? I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. I know not to judge, you know.
Right.
So,
Right. And let's say it's like the reason I say that is because like I'm not anti Hillary Clinton like politically or anything, but like there was this whole viral thing she did during the 2016 election where she was on this trying to get the Hispanic vote, and they were like, oh, or no, maybe it was the black vote. Something either she was trying to get like this demographic really hard, and they were like, hey, what's something you always keep in your purse? And she pulls out this bottle of hot sauce, and she's like, oh,
I
like
remember that
I was like,
because
God
Beyonce
bless.
talked about it in her song too.
Yeah, and it was just like you don't. You're just.
Yeah.
It just seems like too much. Like, what are you doing?
What do you think about the resurgence of Limp Bizkit?
I didn't know there was a resurgence of Limp
Really? You
Bizkit.
haven't seen
No,
anything of that?
I don't
Oh
think I
man. I mean,
have.
it's been growing for the past few years, but I think like they really started this year trying to do like big tours and stuff. So yeah, like to me it makes a lot of sense because it is silly. You know, the music's great. I'm not ripping on it. I listen to it. But to me it pairs so well with the hardcore bands that are coming up, like the counterparts and I'm name dropping, but it's hard to name every band that I mean. But these hardcore bands, like what
Yeah,
we listen to,
yeah,
and to me, I think society or whoever is doing this they're like, wow, this really they pioneered a lot of this, and so it's coming back so hard, and I'm happy about it because, you know, when I was a kid, that stuff was getting it wasn't banned, but it was probably frowned upon to listen to at the age we were at.
Hmm.
And now that I'm an adult, it's just funny to see them headlining huge festivals and stuff now. Yeah, so you need to check that stuff out.
Yeah, I will. And
Did you
that's
listen to him as a kid?
yeah, I somewhat. I really always like the song "Rollin'."
Of course.
It's a fun song. Still
It's
like
like
it.
a video game, mate, like staple.
Yeah. And I think it was on Need for Speed Underground 2 or something. One of those. The Need for Speed Underground games had some of the best soundtracks of all time. I think we talked about that, but it's just
Oh
amazing.
yeah.
But Limp Bizkit, I didn't even really listen to it that much, but my uncle Mark gave me a Limp Bizkit poster from my room when I was like 9. I'm like, oh, thanks.
And you
And
were infected ever since.
yeah, I put it up, and I'm like, I don't really listen to them, but cool.
Jinko jeans, ah! I miss Jinko jeans, dude. And if they came back, I would wear them.
I don't know if I ever wore Jinko jeans. I really wanted to wear the South Pole jeans.
Yeah, it's the same idea.
Is it? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, except it was like dragons instead on the back, like monogram dragons.
Oh, I think I understand.
The other day, I caught myself like, I went jean shopping. I don't buy clothes for myself a lot. And I found myself gravitating towards the tighter pants still. And I was like,
Of course.
man, it's either coming back or I have not grown out of it.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was hilarious.
Yeah. Speaking of Limp Bizkit, and there's a couple other like new metal things, coming back, and that are, or at least there's new band members like Linkin Park with that female singer.
Yeah, what did you think about that?
I thought she sounded good. She sounds like
I need
Chester.
to listen to it. You're right. I guess I haven't heard it.
She sounds like Chester, but like an octave higher. I mean, it's really not bad.
That's cool.
I hear that she sucks as a person, but I'm not. What who
Yeah,
am
I
I
think
to
that
judge?
really hurt them PR wise, but I don't
But
think enough for them to like cancel tours and shows. Like enough people are like, "Hey, let's go see this."
yeah,
If I got approved to shoot it, I would go.
yeah.
My nephew got tickets to go see them on this upcoming tour, and I'm so excited. Like they love Linkin Park a lot, and I'm like, that is, they're like, young, like 9, I guess, 7, 8, I
Hmm.
guess. And so it's gonna be their first concert for sure. And I'm like, that is insane. Like that is so cool.
That
Because
is
it's
cool.
like somebody that we enjoyed as kids,
Hmm.
edgy, alt rock, and now they're coming back, and it's with this new person, sure, but it's a new story for this new kid, So
Hmm.
yeah, I love this resurgence stuff.
Yeah. Another one is, it's weird to say because most bands, you know, it mostly applies with a vocalist, because when a band, unfortunately, for bassists like yourself or drummers like me, when a drummer and a bassist gets replaced, nobody knows, nobody cares, unless it's like a standout, like
Not like Les Claypool or something,
exactly, very, very
but
good.
he's still a vocalist, so I guess that doesn't count.
Right, and I was going to say Geddy Lee, which is also the same thing, but
Damn it.
darn it. Do bases count? The Chris Cagle story.
Yeah,
But
that's my
either way,
movie.
so now speaking of, so we talk about Chester Bennington, he died. They got the girl. Now that actually reminded me of another new metal band, Slipknot, who replaced Joey Jordison this year, because Joey Jordison, who now that's a drummer that matters, right?
Didn't he pass away?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He died 2 years ago, I think. And
Oh, I thought they replaced him before he died, and then he died.
yeah, no, I'm not saying he like died while he was in the band. I'm just saying like he died, and now but they also had, what is his name? Jay Weinberg.
Jay, yeah, not Scott.
Yeah, it's Jay Weinberg, and he was in the band. But I'm just saying like now that they have a new drummer, because Jay Weinberg, he was one of those that like he was a good drummer that played well for them, but I don't know that he added anything. Like he wasn't so amazing. He wasn't like this Joey presence.
Yeah, I assume by then they were. I mean, they were making new music, but I assume
Mhm.
that they were probably relying on the hits live,
Yeah, but
and that makes a lot of sense. Just get a session guy in there.
but they released him. Well, release sounds weird. I've been watching too much football, but they they parted ways with Weinberg, and
And the
but
bassist too.
oh, I didn't even know that.
I thought. I can't think of their name.
Maybe. Well, I mean, that's perfect what we're talking about. Bassists and drummers just getting shit on,
I know.
but the new drummer, I don't know if you're familiar with him, and
I
God,
haven't heard anything.
I can't pronounce his. I think his it's pronounced Eloy. It's Eloy, but his last name's Casagrande, and he used to be the Sepultura drummer. And this dude freaking rips, dude. He
Has to.
is.
I
Oh
think
my
they blast beat and
god,
stuff.
dude. I follow him, and he posts some Slipknot live playthroughs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Joey Jordison's not the best drummer of all time, but just his style, it fit that band so well.
It's pretty good.
This guy's on another level, man. Just I love watching him play. Like he's hitting. It's weird to say, but I never thought I'd hear ghost notes in Slipknot.
Yeah,
and this dude's going at it.
Yeah, I had the same reaction to. I saw Sammy Hagar on this most recent tour with Joe Satriani playing Eddie Van Halen's parts. And I was like, I don't know, let's see. And I mean, Joe Satriani is probably the best guitar player ever. And obviously he nailed every note and all the tone was perfect, but he was adding his own little, like if I was Eddie, this is what I would do. And it was like, dude, that is so impressive. You're already covering perfectly like this legendary guitar player, but then you're just kicking it up a little, like the ghost note on the snare, like you're kicking it up. And I'm like, man, that's so impressive.
I love it.
It's cool. You get that chance, with this revival. Like, what can we do now that we got money? Or what can we do now that we've got a chance to, what didn't work that first time? What can we do now? And I bet that repairs relationships too. Because being in a band's really tough on, your mental health and stuff.
It is. I wanted to ask you so about music, and so in the reverse, instead of bands or artists getting big again, going viral, what artists do you think that were big this year will stand the test of time, like 20 years from now, like Taylor Swift, for example, massive?
Oh yeah, easily, already sealed.
Will she be like the Pat Benatar, the Britney Spears, like 20 years from now, we're still talking about her, still listening to her hits? Like, you think she's one of those stand the test? Yeah.
I think she's changed music, or specifically the industry. Yeah, here in Nashville, you see trend chasers, and not that I'm like talking down. I just, people move here with a story and they're like inspired by something. So a lot of the same thing. Taylor Swift, everybody knows her, so it's real easy to get inspired by that. So I just see enough of that she's an icon. She's changed the way writers' rounds works. She's changed the way how to get on the radio, what kind of clothes you wear. So it's like impacted generations. Like music won't change. Like it obviously music will evolve, but that it was kind of like the Beatles when they first started. They were recording on a 4-track. They would track 4, mix that down to 1 track, mix 4 more, mix it down, and they might not have been the first, but they were probably the biggest band that did it the first. And so it was like they changed it. So I think Taylor Swift has changed enough that she'll be around forever. Big. I don't see her doing anything politically stigmatized or, like something that would take her down completely.
Yeah.
Maybe she just retires and goes out of the spotlight, but I still think that she would still be a huge household name.
Yeah. That, honestly, it's interesting you say that about her politics, because she probably, and this might be like her PR team telling her like the right things to say. I don't know, but she hits the right notes on a social level where that keeps her relevant, because she doesn't go too far and like, because you can either way, like you can go too far right, too far left, and be just like, oh well, you can marginalize a lot of your fans, but like but her coming out and saying just generally vote for a Democrat, or generally, it's like, it's never too hell yeah, let's eat the rich type stuff. Like, she's never going to go so far politically that's going to hurt her career. And I respect that. I mean, you
got to do what you got to do to keep the money flowing in.
Right.
Not that not sell your soul type stuff, to have a stance, but you got to be aware of who's listening to your music for sure. Yeah.
And it works. Like because I think having a political stance, there, so much of our younger generations want to be political, and
Yeah.
because of the climates, everything's just so tense, and everyone wants to be political, and there's so many opinions on the internet. It's helpful for her career, for her growth, and everything, her popularity to be somewhat political. Because to be just anti-political, I think that actually kills a lot of artists who people are like, well, you can't just ignore politics, like there's
Yeah, it's really hard. It's a hard tightrope.
yeah, but and that's why some of these genres, like all these hardcore bands, whatever, they want to make it big or whatever, like hardcore bands will never make it out past a certain level. I mean, it's so awesome that Knock Loose is on Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I see a lot of that stuff kind of slowly becoming norm. It's on the
Mm,
radio more,
yeah,
and it's kind of becoming normalized, which I
yeah.
like. I think that's cool.
Oh, for sure. But then there's that, I think there is a level of, and you could probably say the same in the opposite end of the spectrum for country. It's like it becomes part of people's personality to like that genre of music because it also is identified politically.
Yeah.
But the politics a lot of times are so extreme feels weird to say, but they're marginalizing enough where they're never going to reach a huge like Taylor Swift level because you're just going to have too many people that be like, whoa, man, I can't agree with all that now.
Yeah. Yeah, and everybody's so scattered too, and everyone wants to be their own individual, so it kind of makes a lot of noise.
Mm-hmm.
That makes the world. Uh, so, do you remember the Barbenheimer? That's what they call it
Oh,
officially.
yeah.
The craze. Which did you see? Did you see any of those in theaters? What did you think about it?
I saw Barbie in theaters and I loved it.
Okay.
Barbie was awesome.
Hmm.
Oppenheimer, I didn't see in theaters. I didn't do the thing. My sister Gabby did do the Barbenheimer thing. She went and saw both
That's
in the same day,
awesome. Wow.
and I don't think I could do it.
That's a
But
long day.
yeah, Oppenheimer. I mean, even seeing Oppenheimer alone in the movie is a lot, but
Yeah.
because it's a long movie. But I hate to say it, so I just went on a whole thing. I don't want to get too like political or whatever. Not even necessarily political. Just I didn't realize that there was a certain actor in Oppenheimer that when he came on screen, like I knew that he has like a history of like sexual assault allegations.
Oh, like getting canceled or yeah.
Yeah, and so and he used to be one of my favorite actors. So when he came on the screen, like I make it a point to not watch his movies because I don't want to,
Right.
and so so then when this guy comes on the screen, I didn't watch anything past that point. So I saw the first like hour 20 of Oppenheimer, but like that's as far as I'm not going to say his name. I'm not going to get weird about it. But yeah,
That's
that's so
okay. Yeah, I
But
saw Barbie in theater. I liked it a lot. It was
mhm.
really cool, shot well. The actors are funny.
Oh
Everything was
yeah,
great. I did not see Oppenheimer in theaters, but they were illegally showing it on a TV when I was getting my oil changed, and it took so long that I saw the whole movie.
I love it.
Yeah, those like
How
good.
in the hell you had 3 hour oil
Yeah,
change?
I was like, buddy, this is probably not. And then I stopped myself and I said, whatever. And he was like, "Yeah, man, you can watch any movies you want." And it was just on this TV through a laptop, how you watch football games, through Reddit or whatever. So I was like, "Sweet." And he put that on, and yeah, there was like topless scenes and everything. And I don't remember what place I was getting my oil changed at, but I was just sitting in there like, "Hey, this movie's great."
Yeah.
But yeah, but the whole phenomenon was pretty sweet. I like how they are two polar opposite movies for two polar opposite types of people.
Mhm.
And then it also was a chance to save movie theaters because movie theaters are kind of dying out. Not that I want them
Yeah.
to,
Mhm.
it's just getting expensive and you can watch stuff for free on Netflix or whatever. So that was a cool little renaissance or revival for the movie theater because I would love for those to stick around. Sometimes in the summer, movie theaters are like, oh, it's air conditioned. Let's just go sit in the air conditioning for an hour or whatever.
Mhm.
But I think that they will be talking about the Barbenheimer thing in the future
Mhm.
as something like 2024 irrelevant. And I think it sparked some trends.
Yeah.
especially like memes. Meme culture is pretty relevant. So
Oh
like
yeah.
you saw a ton of memes through that, especially well, both of them together, honestly, but a lot of the black and white, and you'd see like a smashed up phone, and you're like, I'm watching Oppenheimer, how Christopher Nolan wanted, and those make me laugh.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think that that was a pretty good move. Whoever thought all that stuff up.
Yeah. I do find it funny though, and this happens all the time. Everyone, because trends, I feel like so often start accidentally. Like that's just a cool thing. It's like when a video goes viral, like an account, it has 100 videos, but then there's that one that hit because of the right hashtag or the right just. Like you and I talked this off camera once, but there's a guy who just makes a ton of videos, and then one day he made a video where he was wearing a red bob wig and he was imitating Reba McEntire doing the hair thing and do the Reba theme song, and it hit super
Oh
like
yeah.
it got over 1 million views and likes, and then he's like, oh well, that's what you guys like, and so then all of his content was like that, and it's like, well, that's not
Right.
necessarily the thing.
Trying to
So
capture that same energy. Right.
right, so like I have seen pretty much every 6 weeks since Barbenheimer, anytime there's two movies that are even slightly different that come
They
out the same
try to
week.
call it.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
none of them click because Barbenheimer was an accident. Like
Mhm.
somebody said it and everyone's like, they latched onto it. And it's not going to happen again like that. Like it's got to be something else has to happen.
I noticed that with the popcorn buckets too, and I know that buying popcorn bucket novelty popcorn buckets isn't new, but like with the funny memes from the Dune bucket,
Yeah, with
and
the
then
sandworm mouth.
yes,
Yeah.
and we don't have to talk about why it was silly, but I think that they've been trying to make those kind of like extravagant ever
Mhm,
since to try to kind of capture that, like virability of like,
mhm.
oh, look at this silly bucket.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't work. But I will say though, okay, so you mentioned it in a recent episode. Freaking Wicked, dude. I
Oh yeah,
saw
that came out in
Wicked.
2024. Yeah,
Yeah, it came out a few weeks ago or Thanksgiving time, and it's nostalgic, in the sense of it's the Broadway play everyone's loved forever. It's prequel to Wizard of Oz, but dude, I freaking loved Wicked so
it was good.
much.
It was really good.
Yeah,
I saw it on Thanksgiving. Did we talk about it on the show?
you brought it up, I think, in the Thanksgiving
Oh, okay, okay.
maybe, but you had said something along the lines of no, it was the Christmas movies because we were talking about Rudolph, and
That's
we
right. And I described the scene. That's right.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
right.
And so, and I remember like, yeah, you've seen it, and dude, I've seen it too, and I've A plus.
Yeah, yeah. I thought it was good. I went in. My wife is a fanatic, so she knew all the lore, and I
Mhm.
didn't know anything. And I was like, "Hey, let's go see it. I don't want you to go see it by yourself." And so I went in blind, thought it was great. I'm not a huge musical person,
Mhm.
but it was fine. But the whole thing that I took away from it, or what was fascinating to me, was that when they made the original movie, the 50s or 40s,
Mhm.
they didn't have all that stuff written out. None of that Wicked, I don't think. And
Yeah.
it's just really cool that whoever came up with it took so much care that when you watch that old movie, you're like, oh, look, that's part of, and they have an explanation for almost like everything. I
Mhm.
think that's really cool. It's
Yeah.
really probably hard to do.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's very well done in that way, and it's interesting because and this happens a lot nowadays. When there's retellings or prequels, and it shows that the villain from the original wasn't always this way. And something happened, and I get that. It's a fairly common thing.
Hmm.
But this was done well, and you can kind of see like how that her path currently could lead to the Wicked Witch,
Right.
but I'm the same way. Like you said, musicals. I'm not a musical person at all. I hate musicals. I mean, I like Disney movies in terms of musicals,
Sure.
but I'm gonna be honest, man. I left that movie. I'm singing Popular and Defying Gravity around the house every day of my life, dude. It's so catchy and entertaining.
The music was really taken care of.
Yeah, but also I was a super big hater. I'm gonna be honest. Where my wife and I were kind of getting the reels of Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo doing their like, they're hugging each other in every interview and crying with each other and just
Mm-hmm.
holding hands. And I was like, these girls seem annoying as hell. This movie's gonna suck, and I'm not interested at all. Like, what are they even crying about? And then I kept seeing clips of the music and the humor, which that's another part of it. Is
It was good. Yeah, it was
Ariana
tasteful.
Grande was hilarious in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't want to make it so much about Wicked, but it's just one of those that I didn't know what to expect really going in, and I loved it.
Yeah, I think we'll remember that for, generations after, even
Yeah.
if it's redone, like, start as a play, now it's a movie. I see that I see them making more than one film. Obviously, they're going to make another one,
Mhm.
but like Harry Potter, where they split the two books into one or whatever.
Right.
They could easily do that and
Mhm.
and add on. So I don't think we're done with the Wicked franchise, Wizard of
No.
Oz, whatever.
Right. Yeah, but yeah. So I think that'll stand the test time. It'll kind of work up, and people will remember it. But what do you think about? Do you think Barbie will? I mean, Barbie was so huge at the time. Do you think Barbie's in like 5 years? Do you think people are going to be talking about it?
Yes, because Barbie's been a thing for a long, 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 long time, and then it started kind of dying out with gender role toys and
Mhm.
that kind of stuff. But then with this movie, it kind of stapled, no, it's we're about individualism and kind of gave it a kind of a feminist revision, I
Mhm.
suppose.
Yeah.
So I think that they will do that. It will. And I think more toys will start making movies to kind of capture that, like, hey, remember us? We still exist. And so I think Barbie got it the best because whatever they did right.
Mhm.
And I think that people will remember it because of the toys too. Like not just the movie. I think that the toys will see a revival and they will kind of modernize it.
Yeah. Following that, so Greta Gerwig, who directed Barbie, wrote and directed it. She is now going to be making a Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe movie, or at least I think it's that. It's a Chronicles of Narnia,
Cool.
and which is an interesting thing,
I
right?
didn't see the movies, but I love the books.
Oh, really? I didn't. I'm the opposite. I've not read the books, but I've seen like every version of them. Like I've seen the live action, I've seen the cartoon from like the '70s. It's a really entertaining story, but
Oh,
I've
I
never
didn't.
read it.
Maybe I've seen the cartoon. I'm not sure.
It's so good. I watched it a
Sounds
lot
good.
when I was a kid.
Yeah. I think okay, so I was reading them at the time that the movies were coming out, and I think my middle school teacher was like, they're too different from the book or something. So I was like, I won't see them. Those books are great. Were there any books that came out that you, or like authors that just came back? I don't know. I don't read that much.
Hmm.
I work at a library and I feel terrible. Yacht Rock came back. Which I kind of called in 2020,
How
but
would you
I never.
define yacht rock?
Like Michael McDonald and Hall and Oates and like 70s
Mm,
chill music.
love it.
Exactly. It's great. So yeah, I'm not trying to be a hipster here, but like in 2020, everything was going all poopy. Everybody was sad and all bummed out because because of whatever it was. We were all
Yeah.
dying, and so I was like, I really want to make and listen to music that is super happy and positive, and then that's 80s music, and
Hmm.
then even more, it's yacht rock and like Staying Alive, Bee Gees, like real positive and just like kind of silly almost.
Hmm.
And I'm glad that I see it everywhere now. I'm glad that it's finally getting the appreciation that it deserves in 2024.
Yeah, man. That's I don't know if I've ever heard it described as yacht rock, but I that is a genre that I'm a big fan of.
Yeah,
I
like
love that
Sticks
stuff.
counts, I think.
Oh, dude, I love Styx so
They're
much.
good live.
Oh, I can only imagine. Okay, so okay, here's a thought. It's not even doesn't have to be nostalgic, but and I have an answer for mine already. I want to ask you first. You're on your deathbed,
Oh God.
and you have you're gonna die in 5 minutes. Let's say 5 minutes, and you have one last song. What's the song you want to die listening to?
Man, that's a tough one. There's like 50. I'll go with Seminole Win. How about you?
Mine is "Come Sail Away" by Styx.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's long too, so you got some time.
Right, but there's just I think there's a grand like it builds, and just like I could see myself like
It's
my
really
soul
dynamic.
leaving my body and just
Yeah, it's
freaking
perfect for that if you look at it like
rising.
that, like a
Yeah,
montage song.
but it's one of those. I think it's probably my favorite song of that decade, and just one of my top 10 favorite songs. It's
It's so
such
good.
it's like an opera. Like it's got a story, and dude, I love that song.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So 2024, anything that you remember final that you want to send off?
Well, this since this is kind of a general thing, and it can't really spawn much of a brand new topic unless we want to get into the ethics of it. Is AI, man? AI
Oh
got
yeah, it's
got
completely
nuts this year.
yeah. I To me, okay, it's all new, so in next month it could be completely different, but it's a tool, where
Hmm.
people scared of calculators, they were definitely in school, like, hey, you're not gonna always have this in your pocket. Now we do. So to me, sure, it could take everyone's job. It could do this, it could do that. But right now it's just gonna make sure my email's typed up correctly or
Right.
give me recipes for the week. It's a tool. So I'm excited about it. Will it stick around? Heck yeah. I think it's gonna change the world. So we'll be talking about it for a long time. What can I compare it to nostalgically? To me, it's almost like when the internet started becoming, I mean,
Hmm.
when we first used the internet, it was to make funny websites, and then all of a sudden Amazon came out, and now we're connected.
Hmm.
So I see AI, if it's not that, it's going to be the catalyst to something like that.
Hmm.
It may make our life scary for a little bit, but I think eventually it'll make it easier when we're used to it. It's so new, no one really knows how to conveniently do these things.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think overall it's an okay thing, and it'll do good things. Everything is a double-edged sword. So
Right.
what about you? What do you have you we use it on the podcast sometimes, I'll say
Oh
that.
yeah. I mean, our podcast artwork was AI
Sure,
generated,
it was real quick.
or even our opening our intro music is AI generated.
Fair.
Like you know,
I did
but
some cleaning on it, but yeah.
oh,
But
yeah,
but like
well,
yeah, because like at the time it was just like why would you put 20 hours into a song and artwork and all this and then it just fall through. So to be able to do something so quick, it's really nice. Another example that goes along with that one is like you can usually when you want to do something, say you want to film a movie, well, you need people, you need actors, you need camera guys, yada yada. Well, with AI, and you can't film a movie with AI. I mean, you can do other things, but AI kind of gives you another helping hand. Like, hey,
mhm,
I gotta ask a question, and I don't want to Google it because it's too specific. Well, you can ask AI. It kind of makes it where you can do things that
mhm,
you normally wouldn't. You're like, that's intimidating. Well, let's see what AI thinks, and it breaks down anything. So
mhm.
it's super handy.
Yeah, I'll just say this about AI is, and this is all assuming the politics aligns with it, which unfortunately, knowing our political system, it won't. But if
Yeah,
like you said
it's
earlier,
scary
is
any second.
it it's like the taking our jobs. This, the thing that scares people the most is it's going to come in and it's going to take our jobs. And dude, bring it on. Like
Yeah.
if they come take our jobs, the only thing that's scary to me about that is if the politics don't align, because what should happen with that, which I would be so hyped about, is AI modernizes and makes everything more efficient, and
Hmm.
then creates even more product and so many things for us to enjoy. But then also, like, the government would have to do a universal basic income at that point, because there would not be enough jobs for 350 million people in America. And that's just America, you
Right.
know. So it's like they would have to give us, so much basic income just to exist, to buy groceries and stuff. And
Hmm.
I don't give a shit. Bring it on, man. I would love to just I don't have to work. You're telling me you're gonna give me money? I don't gotta work. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm one of those liberals, dude. Give me that money, brother. I don't
Yeah, well,
care.
and it's like, hopefully that's the way it goes. Because on the other hand, it's going to turn into like RoboCop, where it's like
Right.
hyperinflation and it's just, cyberpunk. There's the future, because the future, like, corporations can build stuff, they can make things look nice and futuristic-y, but
Mm,
nobody has any money, so it's like the slums underneath a neon sign kind of thing.
yeah.
I don't know. That's the future, and we're here to remember. So I'm not concerned. No, I am concerned. I try to look at it as positive as possible, because it's every there's good with bad, there's bad with good. So it's just about finding it.
Mm,
But, you know, this is kind of our send off to 2024. It's been a hard year. I mean, it cost $100 to go outside, and
hmm,
chips are $12. Like, what's going on? But there were good things. I did a lot of crazily awesome things this year. So I'm really I'm grateful that it was so hard, because it taught me how much I can put through. So we really appreciate you guys listening to this podcast. We hope you had a good 2024, and if you didn't, that means that you have more energy to put into 2025, and we'll be here with you right along, fighting whatever, coming out with content, remembering things. So thank you for sticking around with us. Thank you for telling your friends. Hi, Mom. Thanks for listening. And we're going to go into 2025 strong with new episodes, and try to come up with more ideas to entertain you and remember stuff. So thank you. Happy New Year. Happy 2025. And we hope you have a great drive to work or whatever you're doing while you're listening to this. Thank you.